Up next, Authentically Detroit sits down with the author of the Natural Hair Dictionary, Mo Williams. But first, this week's hot take. Sabrina Nelson honors James Baldwin's legacy with Frontline Prophet James Baldwin exhibition at the Charles H. Wright Museum. Keep it locked. Authentically Detroit starts after these messages.
Founded in 2021, the Stoudemire is a membership-based community recreation and wellness center centrally located on the east side of Detroit. Membership in the Stoudemire is available on a sliding scale for up to $20 per year or 20 hours of volunteer time. The Stoudemire offers art, dance, and fitness classes, community meetings and events, resource fairs, pop-up events, the Neighborhood Tech Hub, and more. Members who are residents of the east side have access to exclusive services in the Wellness Network. Join today and live well, play well, be well. Visit ecndetroit.org.
Bridge Detroit is your news and engagement platform that is telling the stories of Detroiters rooted by community priorities. Started in 2020 by Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Stephen Henderson, the newsroom has already established its footing as the go-to source for hyperlocal perspectives that ask the hard questions, brings accountability, and searches out real solutions. It's free to become a member of this award-winning news organization. Visit bridgedetroit.com today to sign up to receive the news delivered right to your inbox. Bridge Detroit, by Detroiters, for Detroiters.
Hey, y'all, it's Orlando. We just want to let you know that the views and opinions expressed during this podcast episode are those of the co-hosts and guests and not their sponsoring institutions. Now, let's start the show. Hello, Detroit and the world. Welcome to another episode of Authentically Detroit, broadcasting live from Cass Corridor at the WD2 Studios. We are content partner to bridgedetroit.com. I'm Orlando Bailey.
And I'm Donna Gibbons-Davidson.
Thank you for listening in and supporting our efforts to build a platform of authentic voices for real people in the city of Detroit. We want you to like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast on all platforms. Happy Monday and happy 1-year anniversary of the Montgomery Riverfront Brawl. I saw somebody on the internets earlier today, the interweb, say "Lift every chair and sing," and I just love it because that's a moment in our history that I think most of us will hold near and dear to our.
But you know, this year though, I have been able to just immerse myself in Black diasporic excellence at the Olympics. When you look at the floor routine, 3 Black women for the first time in history. I'm not even going to talk about all the races when you see us showing up and actually excelling. And it's exciting to me to see the connections between some of the runners and some of the athletes in the way, even though you may be Brazilian and I'm from the U.S., we see each other.
But we black all over the world,
black all over the world.
All over the world, baby.
So it's been great.
Yeah,
it's been really exciting.
It has been really fun to watch and to watch that medal count go up.
What am I going to do after the Olympics, though? It's like, what am I going to do with my life? It's like, I just want to know what's happening next.
Oh, I'm sure you'll have plenty to do, Professor.
Well, you know
the school
what?
year is getting ready to start.
You're right. But Philip was in Paris.
During the Olympics?
Yes, he left this morning. So he was there from
Your son's so fancy.
Thursday till today. And now he's in Greece. He said, I just couldn't go this far without
backpacking. He's backpacking.
He's living nicely this time.
Okay.
He's moved up and
backpacking is fun.
Well, it is fun, but he now can afford hotels. So he's telling me about the jacuzzi on his balcony and whatever. But no, he was there and sharing information. And for those listeners who don't know, my son was a track and field star when he was in high school. He was supposed to run in college and he stopped. But from the time my children were, I guess for about 13 years, I was track and field mom.
Yeah.
And so watching the Olympics and seeing these young people still doing it is really exciting.
Oh, man, we're going to be all right. Look at the kids doing good over in Paris. Yes. Listen, today we have Sabrina Nelson, whose exhibit honoring the late, great James Baldwin opened at the Charles H. Wright Museum on August 2nd. And later on in the show, we will be joined, by Mo Williams, the owner of Such a Natural Hair Salon and author of the recently released Natural Hair Dictionary. Sabrina, for the first time ever, I can't believe we're saying that. Welcome to Authentically Detroit.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. So I love Sabrina. I've known Sabrina since I took over from Chase Cantrell over at Urban Consulate. And our first conversation, of course, was connected to James Baldwin, which was just amazing.
Wow.
And, she's a part of a royal family here in the city of Detroit. She has birthed royalty. She was birthed from royalty. Her sister is, listen.
Who's her sister?
Who your sister, Sabrina?
My sister, I have 5 sisters, but one of them, the youngest one, is Kimberly Dowdell, the AIA president. That's American Institute of Architects from Harvard University, a Sheila P. Johnson fellow, and the first Black female millennial president in 168 years.
Wow. So I know I've been honored to meet her. I think Orlando introduced us before. And I certainly have heard about Sabrina over the years because she's friends with my husband, Kevin.
Yeah.
Who went to CCS.
And he is always just bragging about you and your family. And I went to see your son's work at the Right. And so yesterday,
let's not understate that her son is Mario Moore,
an amazing artist in his own right. And so yesterday, Kevin and I went to the Belle Isle Art Fair. We got there later than I anticipated. I just could not stop watching track. So finally we left and walked in. It was super hot outside, but we walked right into Sabrina and I said, hey, I'm going to see you tomorrow.
Hey,
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that this is happening. So Sabrina Nelson honors James Baldwin's legacy with Frontline Prophet James Baldwin exhibition at the Charles H. Wright Museum. So a traveling exhibition featuring the work of Detroit-based creative and professional interdisciplinary artist Sabrina Nelson. Frontline Prophet James Baldwin opened at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History on Friday, August 2nd, in celebration of the 100th birthday of James Baldwin. I don't know why I'm feeling like I'm about to get emotional talking
because
about
he's in here with us.
I
Oh my
love
gosh.
James Baldwin so much.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you about a quote of yours.
Yeah.
Yes.
The drawings become a way to baptize myself in the essence of Baldwin, as his words and expressions connected deeply with how I felt the world was treating its dwellers who are Black and brown. Wow. Can you talk about that?
Yes. Well, first of all, you have to know me and know my family, who's from Alabama to Detroit, and this is my maternal side. On my paternal side, they're from Georgia. So when I say baptize, I'm just talking about the idea that, when you go down and you come up, and I had a praying grandmother, right? Mm-hmm. You go down, you come up, and you're renewed. And I wasn't Baldwinite. I became Baldwinning after I got back from Paris because Jessica invited me to Paris.
Jessica who now?
Jessica Care Moore.
Uh-huh.
She invited me to Paris to go with her in 2016 to the James Baldwin Conference. And I felt like I wasn't aware enough of who he was, what his footprint was, what his words were, what his life was like. So I did the Cliff Notes. But when I say I'm baptized, I am one who is a tactile artist. I like to feel things, and I feel things spiritually. And when I got there, I feel like he picked me to get to know him and to bring him back. And so now when I say I had to baptize myself in his image to know him, I can draw him with my eyes closed without a reference now, because I feel like he's with me. He picked me. And if you understand baptism, it renews you and it washes you clean of whatever you've been through so that it prepares you for what's next. And I feel like he's with me in that way. And I want to make sure folks know who he is, how he is, and what he means or meant to us. And that's why I said it that way.
Who was James Baldwin and what does he mean to us?
James Baldwin was a humanist. He was someone who was a civil rights activist. He was a writer. He was a poet. He was a lover. He was a friend. He was a mother, a father to his siblings and his nieces and nephews. He was an influencer, not only of those who were around him, but children. Like he planted gardens and planted seeds in them. And he also mentored writers like Toni Morrison. When you listen to her voice, I feel like I feel and hear him, thinking about Octavia Butler and Maya Angelou and folks that he was influenced from. So he always did the Sankofa, reaching back to pull forward, but he also brought and lifted up folks with him. So he was an onion. He had many layers. You know, he drank a lot. He smoked a lot. And he loved having conversations with intellectuals to get more information, but to make sure that he knew what was happening and asking people on the streets. He wasn't someone who was just an activist in certain communities at podiums. He went to the streets to say, what's happening? What's happening? How do you feel? What can I do about it? What can we do about it? So he was a researcher too, and he was embedded in Black and brown and poor, or people who are assumed without power communities. Also, he was a bullet dodger. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the only reason he didn't get murdered or assassinated is because he moved around the cabin too much. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So a couple things I've always loved about James Baldwin. One of them is the way that he did not define what blackness was. Mm-hmm. He defined what whiteness was. Mm. And that was so revolutionary to say, you know what? The odd thing is not that black people exist. It's that whiteness exists almost as a clique or a group that has nothing to do with, pigment or nothing to do with geography and everything to do with power and caste.
Yes.
And it expands and contracts. You see different groups of people being there. So that's one thing I love about him. The other thing about James Baldwin to me is he epitomizes male strength. He is, I am not your Negro, right? And you just know he's going to say it with an attitude. But he's also a gay black man. Mm-hmm. And in our culture, we're ready to accept the strong James Baldwin, but we don't always want to accept the part of him that was also queer. And I wonder about that duality as we speak about him, that he was not just a humanist, but he was also a person who very early in the day, when most people were afraid to do so, when you talk about dodging bullets, dodging the homophobia bullet was a thing, especially, steeped in the church. Can you speak to the two strands I just talked to, whiteness and also homophobia?
Yeah. Yes. I don't know if you know my co-curators, Ashara Ekandayo and Omomisha McGowan. But if you don't know them, I would love for you to look up Ashara's Artist That's First Responder, which is a nonprofit that they have started, but also identifying as a queer woman, married to a woman, has children, and talking about his humanity and how he came on the platform with the idea that if you identify with whiteness, you're putting yourself in a place of power. People used to identify with, my family's from Ireland, my family is from here, I am this, I am that, as opposed to I'm white, which is a generic term which puts people above other people in this country. And so I think he talked about that well, and just recently coming back from Zimbabwe, being there and people looking at me as this colored woman or this white woman in Zimbabwe and feeling interesting about that and holding it like, well, I am African American, and then I say I am black, and then saying African American they're looking at me like, yeah, okay, girl. However, I know I am American, and I don't know that if they were calling me white to talk about my privilege or the fact that I'm there, or to talk about the melanin. So I wasn't sure, but I hold it in a certain place when I'm thinking about Baldwin and thinking about we're all cousins. Right?
Yeah.
And so if you identify with yourself as white, you're putting yourself in a place that is interesting. Now, James Baldwin never received awards here because, Ashara says perhaps he would have had he been closeted. Mm-hmm. But he didn't. Somebody asked him, he says, so you're a black writer and you're this and you're also gay. And that must have been a challenge. And he says, no, I feel like I hit the jackpot. Mm-hmm. And so identifying with it and not hiding and saying, this is me and I get to love who I want to love and you don't get to tell me that.
Yeah, it resonates so deeply with me because my son is a strong black gay man who is uncompromising in black, never going to back down, and also will let you know I'm not ashamed. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel bad about being gay. I like who I am.
Right.
I feel sorry for you. And so I love to see And when he first, came out and stuff like that, and I was trying to point to him, various people, James Baldwin was one who I just thought, this is somebody who I think you can look at and see yourself fully, where you don't have to put yourself in half. And so I just really appreciate that.
Yeah, he was on the Dick Cavett show, and I think he said, you want me to,
I know this clip well.
Yeah, it's about Sunday on church, and but you want me to expose my wife, my child, which none of them he never had. But however, he's in the position as a black man to understand the position as a black man in this country that doesn't value him like they value others. Right. So I feel like he epitomizes the idea of what it is to be a black man in America without all these other subtitles, but to be a black man who stands on authenticity and also his truth.
And to be a black man who found it within himself to say deuces, right? So you went to Paris at the Baldwin conference, and that, of course, that's no mistake that conference is in Paris, because that is where he and so many of our luminaries also ended up being and living and studying. It is not to be understated that at two of Detroit's finest institutions, there are two black women who are three black women who are top of these exhibitions. And I want to read this excerpt. The Detroit exhibit explores Nelson's meditation on James Baldwin through a 91-day commitment to drawing his essence from memory. With a deeply personal perspective on the iconic writer, Nelson presents a 7-year sketchbook study, vivid works on paper and canvas, projected videos, installations, collaborations with contemporary writers and thinkers, and augmented reality experiences. Honoring Baldwin's legacy, the exhibit provides an intimate, multisensory experience of the man, offering a space for all to contemplate his impact through a kaleidoscope of imagery, writing, collaborations, poetry, technology, and dedicated programming. So I seen Tiff's exhibit at the DIA, and it was an exhibit that I just had to sit down, right, to just take it all in. Like in the exhibit, there is a bench, and I had to sit down. How are people? I know it's only been the weekend, but how are people responding? How are we expected to digest this and sit with it and go through it and interact with it?
Well, I will say also go see LaKeela Brown at MoCAD.
Yeah, LaKeela's up.
And so all three of us are holding these spaces just like the Olympics. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'll take the bronze or the silver. I'm just happy to be standing on a podium.
That's right. That's right.
Although
Sabrina.
I am golden. I feel like it's going to take you several moments. I mean, if you have the membership to go in and take off a small bite at a time, because it's a lot. It's layered. If you want to take it in an analog way and go and just look at it, experience the space, and read and listen to the poems, it's a lot. But if you can take it all in one set, give yourself time to hold space for the spirit of who he was and who he is to us, and to hear his voices through the augmented reality, or watch me flip through the pages of the sketchbooks that Danielle Iliska filmed for me, who is, the wife, my daughter-in-law of Mario Moore, and she's one of the first black filmmakers to teach at CCS. She studied under Spike Lee. So I'm holding space with these women who have helped me lift up this man, James Baldwin. And so you might have to take your time, because it's a lot to chew.
Tell us a little bit more about you, because this isn't a overnight thing. You've been tried and true here in this city. You teach at CCS. You are an amazing artist, family woman, mother. What will we learn about Sabrina going to this exhibit?
You will learn that Sabrina is a mermaid. She doesn't like shallow water. She goes deep. And that's a direct quote from Anais Nin. You will learn that I sit and walk with gratitude, grace, sometimes grief, very great moments of joy. I love to collaborate with artists around me, and I love to lift and also pull folks with me and plant seeds. I love to support women in the community. I will be 57 in a couple of days, and I am happy to say that. Most people may hide their age. I have avoided many assassins, and that's what that means to me. A lot of people that started out on the journey with me didn't complete the journey with me. And so I'm very thankful for that, and I prayed for this. I prayed for people to not necessarily recognize me as, an elder artist, but I'm no longer emerging. And so it is me doing the work and keeping my head down. And once I make a commitment to something, I'm sticking to it. So I made a commitment to frontline prophet James Baldwin. I've made a commitment to Why You Want to Fly Blackbird, on why, Black and brown mothers bury their children that they held in their wombs because other people don't value them. And I was just talking about a show that I'll have in 2025 about how women carry things, whether they carry them physically, emotionally, or spiritually. So that's going to happen at the Saginaw Museum in 2025. So once I make a commitment to something or someone, it is my duty to follow through and talk about the time I live in and take folks with me and lift them up. And if I get noticed for it, I'm okay with it. And if I don't, I'm going to still do the work.
You're going to be noticed, I know, for this exciting exhibit. And then also you're going to be, the DJing or select on James Baldwin. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I am. So we had a conversation with the Wright Museum about programming that's attached to Frontline Prophet. The first one that I can say for sure is going to happen August 21st. And that is a conversation on legacy. And that's going to be with Mario and myself, Mario Moore, if you don't know. And that will be...
We know.
Some people may not. That'll be at 6 p.m. And then we're also going to have a DJ set. But I don't call myself a DJ. I call myself a selector. So Selector Sabra will be presenting... James Baldwin had a very thick vinyl record collection. And so I'm going to be talking about that and playing music that is his and music inspired by him. So I have several playlists on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Pandora, all under James Baldwin and Frontline Prophet, where I'm just setting the mood, because we all are like cymatics, my youngest taught me. We all are moved with the frequencies. And to me, music, art, and poetry are all the same. So my hope is that people will come out and enjoy that too.
Well, I definitely want to catch that on the 21st. How long is your exhibit going to be at the Wright?
It will be there until February the 28th.
Oh, okay, so don't wait until February the 27th. Get out there soon and see it.
Yeah, spend some time with it.
Thank you to the Wright for actually supporting a local artist and creator in something like this. This means so much
we
to
also
us.
know, Sabrina, because I see your face, that nothing like this is erected without a laborious process, without its challenges, without its back and forth, and for certain without tears.
Listen.
And so you being, in it now and on the other side of some of it is a testament to what you just spoke to about how women, Black women in particular, carry things. Thank you, Sabrina Nelson, for joining us on Authentically Detroit. I can't believe it's your first time. It definitely will not be your last.
Y'all invite me whenever. I'm bringing chocolate.
Okay, bring chocolate. And Mario. Yes. Bring chocolate and Mario.
I'll bring Mario and Kim if you want.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. We'll be right back with Mo Williams.
Have you always dreamed of being on the airwaves? Well, the Detroit Eastside Engaged Podcast Network, or DEEP for short, is here to make that dream a reality. Located inside the Stoudemire, the DEEP Network offers studio space and production staff to help get your podcast idea off the ground. Doesn't take a whole lot of work to get started. Just visit the Authentically Detroit page at ecn-detroit.org or call Sarah at 313-948-0344.
Founded in 2021, the Stoudemire is a membership-based community recreation and wellness center centrally located on the east side of Detroit. Membership in the Stoudemire is available on a sliding scale for up to $20 per year or 20 hours of volunteer time. The Stoudemire offers art, dance, and fitness classes, community meetings and events, resource fairs, pop-up events, the Neighborhood Tech Hub, and more. Members who are residents of the East Side have access to exclusive services in the Wellness Network. Join today and live well, play well, be well. Visit ecndetroit.org.
Welcome back, everyone. So, Mo Williams, founder of Such a Natural, a Black-owned hair salon in Metro Detroit, has authored and published the world's first ever natural hair dictionary, a new book that defines exactly what natural hair and hairstyles are. As a sequential reference guide, the Natural Hair Dictionary's Natural Hair Style list includes titles, descriptions, and more than 60 original photographs defining natural hairstyles. It is a culmination of over a decade of experience in the natural hair industry, encompassed with a tool resourceful to many people who are going to pick up this book. Mo Williams, welcome to Authentically Detroit.
Thank you for having me, Donna and Orlando.
I'm really excited for this conversation.
First of all, get a load of the postcard, okay? This is a postcard. So natural hair. It's a postcard with a beautiful Black woman and her hair, her kinks. For a long time, Mo, I experienced comments about my hair.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right? That would try to put me above a fray because my hair was a bit more curly.
Yes.
My hair is a bit more fine. So like good hair, and this is the hair you want, and this is the hair you don't want. I mean, We're talking about like as long ago as the 90s and early 2000s, the aughts, as they say now. Mm-hmm. This wasn't long ago.
Yeah.
But what I am seeing is this wave of love for Black folks' natural hair. Is it a wave, or is it here to stay?
Well, I would say that it's a facade to a degree, because there's just the aesthetic of having a certain idea, kind of along the lines of what you were explaining, the concept of good or bad hair, where people don't really have true acceptance of natural hair. And that's what the book talks about. It discusses the contrivance within the natural hair industry itself, because people really, it's a lot of... Outside of that, the book is really just to be an educational resource. There's a lot of misinformation out there. People don't know what they're talking about. And outside of my experience in the field, I wanted to, and outside of having the YouTube channel, to be of another source of information. Being behind the chair kind of feels stifling, because you're just there. People, anticipate you to just do their hair. Sometimes they don't want the feedback. They don't want the truth. And so this was an opportunity for me to find my voice and be, informative to people that are willing to listen.
This conversation is so timely. Watching the Olympics and then watching the backlash against Simone Biles' hair, and people really being angry with her that kinks showed underneath that. It was like, oh my God, she needs to learn how to do her hair. And I'm like, this is 2024, and we are trying to shame the best athlete in our lifetime for her hair texture. And it speaks to that rejection. And so we can say, I love natural hair, but like you said, I love natural hair when it's done a certain way. I just don't love hair that shows up as naturally Black hair, because there's still shame related to that.
Yes, totally. Just the amount of shame, denial, disgust, and altogether vitriol people have toward their own hair is a symptom of societal pressures, but rearing from parental style and familial structure. You get a lot of people who grew up in households like, you need to do something with your head. You can't go nowhere with me looking like that. So, and outside of that, you have people, grandparents. Of course, it's generational. A lot of them, if your hair wasn't straight or relaxed, then it wasn't done. So it's just a lot of, when it comes to mentality centered around it.
I got my first relaxer when I was 10.
Did it burn?
I have a lot of hair, and my hair is one of those textures. People say, oh, so whatever, but my hair does not want to be straight. I'm just going to say that, okay?
None of it does.
So when they put the relaxer in my hair, they were like, that's not enough. So then I got a super perm, okay? Super strength. And so I can still remember my head burning, the pain, and then humidity's outside. And I'm like, I don't know what I can tell how much humidity is outside just on my skin. I can wake up and know it's a humid day and it's not going to be a great day for my hair. And the amount of shame. I failed swimming because I couldn't figure out what to do with my hair. And so it's a Black woman's thing. And then when I was a grown woman, my sister decided to cut her hair off and stop, wearing putting in relaxers and straightening her hair. And I was like, I just gotten divorced too. So I was like, freedom, that song from Beyonce, freedom, like the freedom to really embrace myself. This is how God made me, and at the same time, texturism also exists. And so freedom looks very different depending on your hair texture, right?
Yeah, these are all concepts that are discussed within the book. Texturism and colorism combined. You have a lot of people who think that a certain texture is supposed to go with a certain skin tone and things like that. You have people who, T.I.'s daughter, I forget her name, but she's like, unfortunately, I'm light-skinned, but I have my dad's hair texture, which was a very tight, kinky curl. It's like, genetics are genetics. And then, another comment that was recently made was Sexy Red talking about something, y'all thinking about my hair. No, but about the hair, where she was saying, but y'all got carpet hair. And it's like, maybe she said it in jest, because a lot of people are, you got it, thinking about the 90s, like you mentioned, Martin, he would always he had all these deprecating comments about Pam and saying she has beady beads and buckshots and things like that. And it was done from a comedic standpoint, but it's not funny. It's not funny at all. And what it does is it makes this level of acceptance for those disparaging comments, and it normalizes it. And it's within society now where people say things and think it's supposed to be accepted or acceptable to say it or think that way. And that's just what the book is about, to make a conversation and, make people put up a mirror, basically, so people can see these things and potentially want to correct it.
So how do I get you in front of our teenage girls? Because there's so much peer pressure, I think, still in high school for girls who have not. Sometimes as women, we learn how to accept ourselves a little better. Not all women.
Yes.
But in high school, peer pressure and all of that, what is your ministry for teenage girls who are still in the thick of that?
I would say overall, it's confidence is something that you developed, of course, and it helps to be in an accepting environment like your home. But if you don't have that, then you have to just inform yourself, put yourself in around girls who want to wear their curls, or you look at videos of girls who are your age, because there's a lot of vloggers and people who are on social media these days that are different ages. But just, maintain what your identity is. I think a lot of people get so lost in what the norm is that they don't want to just maintain what they want to do and create an identity. So just have a strong hold on what you want to do and pursue it. And as far as physically being in the room in front of young girls, I would be very much obliged to be invited to be in rooms to speak to young people or adults.
So count on an invitation from Eastside Community Network, because it is one of the things that I've noticed is among so many of our teenagers, because, especially depending on how many resources your family has. Some people are taking to natural hairstylists and some people are not. And I can just see that a lot of our young ladies would benefit from that knowledge. And at a young age, normalize it, celebrate them, help them celebrate hair texture in ways that, are just not done in our society. There is no such thing. And my grandmother is progressive on many fronts. And so when I was growing up, there's no such thing as good or bad hair. Hair is hair. Mm-hmm. But, I was born in 1963. In late 1960s, you had more natural hair, more froze, actually, straight up natural hair, right? Yeah. You might pick it out or whatever, than you do now, I think. It was almost the norm for women.
It was.
And, and we backtracked from that. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about why are you aware of why that is and how hair is sort of tied to other social happenings?
Yes, it's a direct correlation. You have things that become trendy during the time. So in the 60s and 70s, you have the Black Panther movement and things like that. And then you move away into when dreadlocks came into popularity, and then you move away from that when you have more women in the workforce. So there's a lot of scrutiny when it comes to your hair, and it's more popular to now wear the presses and the wigs even, or the relaxers. So from there, it just becomes a standard, and then you have a standard that's associated with a beauty standard. And so that's why a lot of time, even still now, someone could have maybe braids that looked a little aged, or like you've had it a little while, and people say you need to get your hair done. It's like, it's okay. It's still wearable. I think people just have these unnecessary pressures on themselves from other people's opinions, and they don't even realize the correlation.
I remember being unable to leave the house. I just want to say this, and having to have my hair perfect whenever I left the house. Like nothing stands up. That was the way. And we had like this stuff that you glue down the hair on the edges,
Edge control?
No, I'm talking about, I forget what they called it, but it came as like fingernail polish, and you brush it on like hair. We're talking long before you all were born. We didn't have the same kind of things. But you glued your edges down, and your hair is so tight in the ponytail, it gives you an absolute headache, because that's how you're going to pull the texture out of your hair.
Talk about it.
I think that and I'm still impacted by that. Like going out of the house without my hair looking a certain way when I cut it all off, so I don't have to worry as much. But before I did, it was a lot.
Yeah.
Mo, can you talk about how and why this became your ministry?
Well, I wouldn't really. I look at hair as my rites of passage. So at the age 13 was when I was shown how to braid, and from then I braided my own hair, and I didn't actually have hair as a career path until 2010 when I became a natural hairstylist. So just from onset, being in the natural hair industry, seeing what lacked, seeing what I wanted to, how I wanted to be of service, and how I wanted to basically fill a void when it comes to this book in particular. You have so many facets when it comes to natural hair, but everyone kind of just focuses on a cream, a custard, a gel, an edge control, a comb, or every product line or every natural hair company does the same things. And it's like, people are still misinformed out here. You have a lot of tutorials and things, but most of the people who are popular or influencers are not actually stylists. They do their own hair, or people like them because they have long hair or have a looser curl pattern. So to be able to fill a void and basically provide a source within the natural hair industry that has not been tapped into. We trademarked the Natural Hair Dictionary, and it was just something that was missing.
Thinking. That was very savvy. Yeah. Can you, what do you think is the most common misconception about natural hair?
I think one of the most common misconceptions is that natural hair is difficult. Natural hair is very simple. I think that people are approaching it like Donna was saying, from a perfectionist standpoint, where the hair has to be laying down or has to be just overall looking a certain way. And our hair just doesn't want to do that. So what you have to do is pay attention to what your hair likes and do that. Or find a simple style where your hair can be low maintenance, like a 2-strand twist or finger coil, or something that's just very basic, and keep it simple. But
I had to cut mine off.
But
I had a lot of hair.
Yeah.
And it was... When I had the hair, I had to spend time with it to, and I was just like, whew.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing too. People, they like Tracee Ellis Ross. She wears her but that's her hair texture. Right. So, but when it comes to having a different type of hair texture, or, having to do more things to keep the definition there, that's more maintenance. Whereas if you wore a style and prevented it from being loose all the time, that's what helps it be low maintenance. I think of course, cutting it, right?
But with Tracee Ellis Ross, there's a certain level of prestige that comes from being able to wear your hair natural and have it look like hers, right? Because that's that texturism thing that comes in. So I see some women who do a lot to try to make their hair look like hers, even though it doesn't naturally look like hers. Mm-hmm. What are the alternatives to Tracee Ellis Ross for women whose hair does not naturally look that way?
I think for me, it's always going to resort to mentality, because what makes it prestigious? You have to look inside of yourself.
Texturism, I'm saying, yes.
But that's what I'm saying. It's always going to circle back to mentality for me, because it's just like, why do you look at that as that's superior to yourself?
Right.
I agree with you. I'm just saying that it seems to me like, I've seen people with sister locks who fall in love with sister locks, with locks, with different hairstyles where they have control, and it really works with their hair texture. Everybody doesn't have to wear the same thing, right?
Yeah, everyone doesn't have to wear the same thing. But I'm glad you brought up locks. Everyone shouldn't wear locks. And that's another thing that's in the book as well. This is an educational resource.
It's
Why
a
shouldn't
dictionary.
everybody wear locks?
Exactly. Everyone shouldn't wear locks because everyone's hair texture can't support locks. Everyone's hair density can't support locks. And a lot of people, especially now, this thing called micro locks is very popular. So a lot of people are going to people who are just, I'll do micro locks. They're sitting down paying a few hundred to maybe a little bit, $1,000, a little over $1,000 to get micro locks, but they don't even know they shouldn't wear them because they have fine hair or they have a kinkier texture and their hair is maybe they don't have moisture retention right there at the time, because it takes sometimes people don't really put a lot of care into their hair, so they have to work towards these things, but they just want to sit down and get up. So what I said all that to say, to illustrate the point that a lot of people are just jumping on the bandwagon because micro locks is popular. So they want to provide a service that they can get some quick money from, instead of being able to tell a person, hey, your hairline is starting to recede, or you don't have any edges, or you have your texture is very, your density is fine and your texture is kinky. Your hair is going to snap. If you get, especially with people in this rotation of maintenance every 6 weeks, that's too often. Like, it's a lot of information that's not being given to the client. People are just paying their money to get a service that they like. It's fine to like things, but it's a difference between what you need and what you want.
How are people?
Let's take one quick break, and we're gonna come back with more with Mo Williams in the Natural Hair Dictionary.
Let's see.
Bridge Detroit is your news and engagement platform that is telling the stories of Detroiters rooted by community priorities. Started in 2020 by Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Stephen Henderson, the newsroom has already established its footing as the go-to source for hyper-local perspectives that ask the hard questions, brings accountability, and searches out real solutions. It's free to become a member of this award-winning news organization. Visit bridgedetroit.com today to sign up to receive the news delivered right to your inbox. Bridge Detroit, by Detroiters, for Detroiters.
Have you always dreamed of being on the airwaves? Well, the Detroit Eastside Engaged Podcast Network, or DEEP for short, is here to make that dream a reality. Located inside the Stoudemire, the DEEP Network offers studio space and production staff to help get your podcast idea off the ground. Doesn't take a whole lot of work to get started. Just visit the Authentically Detroit page at ecn-detroit.org or call Sarah at 313-948-0344.
Welcome back to Authentically Detroit. We are here with the author of the Natural Hair Dictionary, Mo Williams. Donna, you were going to ask a question. Go ahead.
Hi, yes, I was just asking the question about training, because you have so much knowledge, and I have not heard that much knowledge from many people who are going to see these natural hair care experts. So I was wondering about training, cosmetology, and where that all comes from.
Okay, so there is a line of separation where cosmetologists from the gate learn how to dress and style and care for straight hair, whether it's thermally or relaxed straightened hair. And then they learn how to do perms too, which is a permanent curl. But anyway, then there's natural hair cultivator, where Michigan now has programs in different cities, but locally so let me roll it back. I started in natural hair in my career at 2010. I learned through an apprenticeship the interlocking technique. That's where I started. And then from that point, I learned everything else I did through trial and error. And also YouTube was popular at the time, so just developmental through that. But as far as what people can access, is so much opportunity now in 2024. I'm going to graduate next month from the Salon Professional School of Cosmetology. I enrolled in their natural hair cultivator program. So that is a lane. Thank you. Yes. That is a lane that now people can actually go to school and, get their paperwork so that they can move around and not feel like they have to hide, like you said, in the basement or on the back porch.
Yeah. So I would imagine that for consumers, they can also buy your book and learn more about hair.
They can buy my book at the Natural Hair or naturalhairdictionary.com or suchanaturalbeauty.com.
You called it a dictionary.
I call it a dictionary because it's literally a photo dense. Okay, so I wanted to say this. The Natural Hair Dictionary is a book that is composed with fastidious attention to detail, succinctly pointing out salient points while simultaneously educating on the intricacies of natural hair and hairstyles, defining them from A to Z. So it's literally a full color, photo dense literary composition. So with each page, for the most part, you're going to have a title. Let's just say we're talking about a big chop. You have a title, a photo, and then a detailed paragraph underneath each photo. So that's what we use the term dictionary because we thought it was pretty much like catchy. But Con Davison from Metro Times, he did a review for me, and he basically said, this is more of a encyclopedia. And I was like, that doesn't really have a flow. I was trying to be cute. But yes, that's why we chose the dictionary.
Okay. So how can people get the book again?
The book is going to be at naturalhairdictionary.com or Such a Natural Beauty. If you go to naturalhairdictionary.com, you can find a free preview, a free interactive preview for the book, where you can flip through, look at the images, read up on what the book entails to decide if you want to make a purchase. You can also support by passing the word along or sharing on your social medias. The book actually came about through, I gave myself my first brand partnership by creating the brand Natural Hair Dictionary. So Such a Natural we have established and have been pioneering 7-day natural hair care in Grosse Pointe since 2017. No other hairstylist is doing 7 days a week in Grosse Pointe area. So, what we wanted to do was collaborate. I actually had the idea for the Natural Hair Dictionary or a book of natural hair information starting in about 2016, but it took me a while to get to the process of, putting it together. So I say it's my first brand collaboration or partnership because I founded the Natural Hair Dictionary, and the naturalhairdictionary.com is actually an online directory of natural hair salons and stylists. So what we wanted to do was compile a list that could be, just one central location for people to find natural hairstylists, because that's one of the biggest comments I get. I'm glad I found you. It's so hard to find natural hairstylists. Now, maybe I have a bias because I know some of my peers and I feel like I see them online to where I don't really understand how it's hard for people to find natural hairstylists, but that's why we created naturalhairdictionary.com. But we wanted to create the book. And so that's where that collaboration comes from.
If someone is listening to this show right now and are saying, I want to go see Mo about my hair, where do they go?
They can find me online at suchanaturalbeauty.com to find my list of services and starting prices. And then you can find me on Instagram at Such a Natural Beauty as well. And I'm also on Facebook at Such a Natural Beauty. And you can follow the YouTube channel, which is Such a Natural. Help us get to 20K.
Yes. I'd love to help you. Question. Do you wash hair, or do you expect people to come pre-washed and conditioned?
That's a great question, because in 2024, everybody wants you to come basically with your hair done. But yes, all services include shampoo, finger detangle, and conditioning. It's a very vital part of the service. I have to see your hair. I have to see your scalp. I have to know what I'm getting into before I style it.
I probably would have kept my hair had I known about you.
Back in old school, hairdressers wanted to put their own products in your hair and tell you what to do with your hair, and so this whole
educate
you. This whole idea of come with your hair blow dried, now I'll make it look cute. It's just crazy to me. I'm like, I would never go to anybody if I have to do it myself. And mind you, I was always doing it myself anyway, but if I have to blow dry it, I'm doing all the rest.
May as well.
I don't do that anymore. But back in the day, so I'm excited to hear that you do full service, that you educate people. I've heard so many people who say, I have no more room for customers. Are you almost full?
Well, I'm accepting new clients, and as far as the list of services, I do things like 2-strand twists. I do starter locks, finger coils, you name it. But everything is natural hair, so I don't do any thermal or chemical services.
That's wonderful. But I'm also wondering, are you apprenticing? Is anybody apprenticing under you so that as you grow this business and people are reading your book, you can meet the demand?
I would say that I'm in the developmental process of working towards that. It's just a lot of moving parts right now with keeping the salon going because it's a private.
I get it. But when you get to 20K, when you blow up, we want you to make sure you're ready.
And she on the book tour.
Exactly. Yes.
So excited. I'm really, really excited to have you come here.
We thank you so much for coming on, Mo.
Thank you again for having me.
Really
this is great. This is
All
fun.
Right. Yeah, this was. It's a lot of fun. If you have topics that you want discussed on Authentically Detroit, you can hit us up on our socials at Authentically Detroit on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or you can email us at authenticallydetroit@gmail.com. All right, it's time for shout-outs. Let's start with you, Donna. Do you have any shout-outs?
I do want to shout out Sabrina Nelson for her exhibit at the Charles Wright Museum. I'm really excited about her highlighting James Baldwin, the series, and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm shouting Orlando out for his playlist live last week.
Yeah, the DJ Selector Series.
And then finally, I want to shout out Kelly Britton from the Children's Museum, Detroit Children's Foundation. There's a grant I was going to apply for, and I wasn't sure if I was qualified. So I sent her a question at something like 8:30 p.m., and she got back to me at like 9 p.m. with a response. And I was like, what kind of leadership is that? Really a kind, helpful person. And she helped me the next day understand something. So we were able to submit, but I missed your selector series in the process.
It's all good. Mo, do you have any shout outs?
Yes, I want to shout out to Mo because it wouldn't be possible without myself.
That's right.
I also want to shout out to Embad Museum, and I want to shout out to all the models who dedicated their time. I did pay them, but they had to sit there and get their hair done. So shout out to the models who all participated and were a part of the book. And shout out to Donna and Orlando and Jalen.
Oh, thank you, Mo. We thank you so much for coming on. You got to come back, okay?
Yes, I have to. Thank you.
All right, y'all. We thank you so much for listening. Remember to love on somebody and allow yourself to be loved on. Peace.